Today, we are diving into a strategy that the world's most successful companies use not just to compete, but to absolutely dominate their fields. It's a pretty simple idea, but it has a powerful name: benchmarking. It's really all about learning from the best so you can become the best. Let's get right into it.
So you gotta wonder, right? How do the top players, the ones who are already at the peak of their game, manage to keep improving? It's not usually some single brilliant flash of genius. More often than not, the secret is this disciplined habit of looking around, seeing who's doing something better, and then figuring out how to adapt their playbook. That habit is benchmarking, and it is the real engine behind constant, relentless improvement. Okay, so let's break down what we're really talking about here. Benchmarking is not just, a casual glance at what your competition is up to. No, it's a formal, structured process. It's about putting your own business under a microscope and comparing every little piece, your performance, your processes, your products, against whoever is considered the absolute best in class. And the goal here has to be brutally honest. You're there to find the gaps between what you do and what they do, and then you have to figure out how to close them. Now, to really get a grip on this, you have to realize something crucial. The best isn't always who you think it is. It's not just about spying on your direct competitor down the street. As we're about to see, sometimes the most powerful, game-changing lessons come from the most unexpected places. And that leads us to the big question, right? Who should you actually be looking at? Well, the answer depends entirely on what you're trying to fix. And that's what brings us to the 4 distinct types of benchmarking.
First up, you can start by looking internally. This is where a big retail chain, for example, might compare all of its own stores to figure out why one location is crushing it while another is just meh. Then you've got the one everyone thinks of, which is competitive benchmarking. This is a car company literally tearing down a rival's engine to study its fuel efficiency. But here's where it gets really creative. With functional benchmarking, you look at one specific process, but you look at it in a completely different industry. So imagine a hospital, right? They're struggling with long wait times. They might go study an airline's super efficient check-in system. And finally, there's generic benchmarking, which is even broader. This is where an e-commerce firm studies the undisputed master of getting things from point A to point B: FedEx.
All right, so we've got the what and the who. But what about the how? How do you actually do this? This isn't just guesswork. There's a clear 6-step playbook that the best organizations follow to turn this whole idea into real, tangible results.
So the process always kicks off with step 1, define your objectives. And you have to be super specific. Don't just say, we want to be better. No, say, we need to cut our bug resolution time by 30%. From there, step 2 is identifying your partners. If a retailer wants the smoothest, most frictionless online checkout experience, who are they going to study? Amazon, of course. Step 3 is all about collecting the data. You get your numbers, you get their numbers. Then in step 4, you analyze that data to find the gaps. A bank might discover its loan approval process takes twice as long as its competitors because it's not automated. That aha moment leads directly to step 5, the action plan. For the bank, that means a concrete plan to implement new software. And finally, the step that never ends, step 6, implement and monitor. You put the plan into action, but you never ever stop tracking the data. It's a cycle, and it just keeps going.
Now, theory is one thing. The playbook is great. But the true power of benchmarking, man, it really comes to life in the stories. We're talking about companies who use this to completely change their fortunes. These are the legends. Let's rewind the clock. Picture this. It's the late 1970s. Xerox is the undisputed king of copiers, but they are in deep, deep trouble. Competitors from Japan are flooding the market with machines that are not only cheaper, but more reliable. Xerox was bleeding market share. This wasn't just a rough patch. They were facing a genuine crisis.
So what did Xerox do? They launched this massive initiative they called Leadership Through Quality. At the heart of it was benchmarking, but with a brilliant twist. They didn't just look at other copier makers. Instead, they asked a much smarter question. Who is the absolute best at this one specific thing, no matter what industry they're in? So for their messy, inefficient warehousing, they didn't call another manufacturer. They studied the mail order masters at LL Bean. To fix their complicated billing process, they benchmarked against American Express, the absolute pros at high-volume transactions.
And the results? They were totally transformative. By looking outside their own little bubble, Xerox completely re-engineered their operations. They slashed their manufacturing costs, they dramatically drove up product quality, and they literally pulled the company back from the brink. Their story basically became the textbook case for how to do benchmarking right. Okay, let's jump to another legend.
Southwest Airlines. Their entire business model is built on one thing: efficiency. And a key metric for them is something called turnaround time. That's how fast they can get a plane landed, deboarded, serviced, reboarded, and back in the air. See, less time on the ground means more flights per day, and that means more profit. Simple as that.
So to get faster, who did they go study? Another airline? Boeing? Nope. They made this incredible creative leap that nobody saw coming. They went and looked at the undisputed world champions of speed, precision, and teamwork under pressure, a NASCAR pit crew. So what on earth could an airline learn from a pit stop that takes less than 15 seconds? Well, it turns out 3 huge lessons. First, specialized roles. On a pit crew, every single person has one job, and they do it perfectly every time. Second, synchronized teamwork. Everybody moves like one single unit with a shared focus, which eliminates every wasted second. And third, radical simplification. Southwest took this idea and applied it to their entire company, standardizing their fleet to just one type of plane, the Boeing 737, which made everything from maintenance to pilot training brutally efficient. And then you've got Toyota. Their famous Toyota production system completely changed manufacturing forever. And sure, they studied American car companies, of course they did. But their single biggest breakthrough, it didn't come from a factory floor. It came from the aisles of an American supermarket. Yeah, a supermarket. That simple observation led to the revolutionary just-in-time system. The idea is just brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of stockpiling mountains of parts in these huge, expensive warehouses, parts are delivered to the assembly line only when they are needed for the very next step. It's exactly how a supermarket restocks a shelf, but only after you've bought something off of it. This one idea eliminated enormous amounts of cost and waste, and it became the gold standard for manufacturing efficiency across the entire world. And you see this exact same thinking today with a company like Amazon. Their legendary obsession with customer experience is a direct result of constant benchmarking. They benchmarked Walmart's incredible supply chain logistics to build their own delivery network. And they studied the world-class, almost fanatical customer service of companies like Zappos to shape their own support teams. And all these stories prove that benchmarking isn't just for corporate giants. It is everywhere. You've got emergency rooms studying theme park queues to shorten wait times. You have clothing stores using that just-in-time inventory they learned from grocery chains. HR departments are studying the best places to work lists to figure out how to keep their top talent from leaving. Even a small business owner who's just comparing their profit margins to the industry average, yep, they're using this powerful tool. So ultimately, understanding all of this isn't just some academic exercise. It's about how you can gain a real, tangible competitive edge, whether you're running a massive company, a small department, or heck, even just your own career. Now, let's be real for a second. This approach isn't some magic silver bullet. Getting good data on your competitors can be really tough, and there's a huge danger in just blindly copying a strategy without adapting it to your own situation. But the rewards for doing it right are just immense. It helps you spot new opportunities, it sparks innovation, it drives efficiency, and ultimately it leads to higher quality products and way happier customers. The upside is simply too big to ignore. So that really just leaves us with one final thought. Benchmarking is all about finding excellence wherever it exists and then learning from it. It's about being humble enough to admit that someone else is better at something than you are, and being creative enough to adapt their lessons to your own world. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: who is your NASCAR pit crew? Where is the unexpected excellence that could totally transform the way you work?